Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Triple H has almost completed his first calendar year in charge of WWE, and it has been one of its most successful. In that time, the WWE Hall of Famer has been able to abolish several rules set by Vince McMahon and even implement some of his own. One of the biggest has been the fact that every premium live event outside of the Big Five and the trip to Saudi Arabia earlier this year has featured just 5 matches. There was speculation that this was the game's own format, and it seems that he's been able to stick to it until Crown Jewel. The most recent announcement of the Bloodline taking on Roman Reigns and the Usos this weekend makes 7 matches for this show, the most of any outside of the Big Five. It's unclear why the company has opted to add extra matches to the Crown Jewel card, but it seems to be stacked with the Crown Jewel Championship and several title matches. Will Triple H be in attendance for WWE Crown Jewel? Triple H will likely attend Crown Jewel this weekend since the Crown Jewel Championship will be decided, and he will probably present the title to the winners. The game has been an active part of programming since taking over and has made a number of appearances as part of live events. Triple H has made some major changes that have been praised in recent months by some critics who once hounded Vince McMahon about changes that should have been made several years ago. It seems that the Chief Content Officer has been the change that fans have wanted, and that's why this year has been so successful for WWE. This success is expected to continue into 2025 with their big Netflix move. Triple H had always been known for his strict adherence to WWE's rulebook. His reputation as a no-nonsense leader who prioritized the order and sanctity of WWE operations had set him apart. But on this particular Friday night, just as SmackDown was about to go on air, a wave of murmurs ran through the backstage as whispers of an unprecedented announcement spread. Triple H had decided to break one of his own rules. The locker room was buzzing with confusion. Superstars who had been around long enough to know the game couldn't believe it. What rule could he possibly be breaking, murmured Kevin Owens as he laced up his boots, exchanging a quick look with Sami Zayn, who appeared equally puzzled. In his office, Triple H sat at his desk, hands folded, eyes closed in contemplation. The rule in question was a hard one, a guideline he had crafted himself when he took on his position at the helm of WWE operations. It was simple yet firm: no cross-brand championship matches without an official storyline crossover. Titles were sacred, and their prestige could only be amplified through clear, well-planned narratives. But as of late, there had been a growing demand from both fans and wrestlers alike to see the boundaries of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT collide in a way that hadn't been explored in years. The excitement was undeniable, and Triple H knew it. As a wrestler, he would have loved to be part of it. But as an executive, he felt torn. Would this rule-bending move be seen as revolutionary or reckless? As the clock ticked closer to showtime, Stephanie McMahon knocked on the door and walked in, a mix of curiosity and concern in her expression. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, closing the door behind her. Triple H looked up and nodded, although his face showed traces of uncertainty. "It's time we give the WWE Universe something they've been asking for. A true brand war." Stephanie raised an eyebrow. "You're talking about merging titles across brands? This has never been done without some backlash. People respect the exclusivity of each brand's championships." "I know," he replied, sighing. "But I want to shake things up. For too long, we've played it safe. Wrestling fans aren't coming just for storylines, they're here for surprises, for moments that shock them, for clashes they thought they'd never see." He paused, his eyes distant. "Look, Steph, I've been sitting behind this desk for years now, watching the same rivalries, the same structure. It's time we embrace something new." Stephanie studied him for a moment, a subtle grin tugging at the corner of her mouth. "I knew you'd never be content to just be the boss. You're always a competitor at heart." Just outside the office, Rhea Ripley and Seth Rollins were eavesdropping, intrigued by what they might overhear. Rhea leaned toward Seth, whispering, "If he's talking about merging titles, we could see matchups we've only dreamed of." Seth nodded, already imagining the endless possibilities. Their intrigue was interrupted when Adam Pearce stormed down the hall, having heard the news. "Hunter!" Adam burst into the office without knocking, his face a mixture of disbelief and anger. "Are you really going to break the rule you created?" This was the foundation of the Triple H era. It set boundaries, kept order, kept each brand thriving. Triple H's demeanor hardened. And I still stand by that. But rules aren't meant to confine us, they're meant to guide us. Right now, this feels like the right decision. Adam took a step back, frustration evident. Then what was the point of setting these lines if we're just going to ignore them? The brands have been flourishing with their separate identities. Triple H stood up, his voice steady. "I'm not erasing identities, Adam. I'm expanding horizons. Think about it, Roman Reigns, our undisputed champion, could face Seth Rollins, the world heavyweight champion, or even Carmelo Hayes from NXT. It's a dream scenario for any wrestling fan. Wrestlers who have stayed within their brand will have the chance to prove themselves against the best across the company. This isn't erasing anything, it's evolution." Adam shook his head but could see the resolve in Triple H's eyes. There would be no convincing him otherwise. Stephanie put a reassuring hand on her husband's arm. "Adam, I think Hunter has a point. Imagine the fans' reaction. This could bring WWE to a whole new level." The locker room continued buzzing as rumors intensified, but finally, the moment had arrived. Triple H's music hit, and the crowd erupted as he strode to the ring with a determined glint in his eye. Taking a microphone, he stood before the thousands of fans in attendance and millions watching around the world. "WWE Universe," he began, his voice steady, but carrying the weight of 1,000 possible outcomes. "For years, I've stood by a set of principles that guided the way WWE has operated. I believe that boundaries between brands kept them unique and gave each championship its own prestige. But sometimes, you have to tear down walls to build something even stronger." The crowd's excitement rippled through the arena. Triple H's presence alone was commanding, but his words were sparking something electric in the atmosphere. He continued, "Starting tonight, we're breaking the rule that kept our championships separate. You're going to see titles defended across brands. You're going to witness Raw, SmackDown, and NXT superstars go head-to-head in battles that redefine competition." The arena exploded with cheers, and backstage, wrestlers like Seth Rollins and Rhea Ripley exchanged exhilarated glances. Suddenly, dream matchups were more than a fan's wish, they were a real possibility. "But make no mistake," Triple H continued, his tone sharpening, "this isn't a free-for-all. We're not just merging titles left and right. Every superstar who steps up to this challenge will have to earn it. We're calling it the WWE Crossover Challenge. Champions across all brands will face challengers they never expected. The best will rise. The weak will fall. This is a new era, and it starts now." Just as the crowd's roars began to die down, a familiar entrance theme cut through the noise. Roman Reigns, flanked by Paul Heyman, made his way to the ring, his gaze fixed on Triple H. Roman climbed into the ring, staring down Triple H, his expression unreadable. Roman raised a mic. "Hunter, you're stepping into dangerous territory. You want to see who's the real champion across brands? Look no further, I'm standing right here. And I'll prove it against anyone you put in front of me." The crowd was on fire. Roman's intensity only fueled their excitement, and Triple H's grin was full of determination. "You'll have your chance, Roman," he replied. "But you're not the only one with something to prove." In that moment, Seth Rollins' music hit, and the visionary strolled down the ramp, his eyes locked on Roman. Behind him, Rhea Ripley followed, her gaze equally intense. Triple H nodded approvingly as superstars from all brands gathered around the ring, each of them ready to make their mark in the new era. "I hope you're all ready," Triple H said, addressing the superstars. "Because the WWE Crossover Challenge begins tonight. And may the best brand reign supreme." As the arena roared in anticipation, Triple H turned his back, a satisfied smile on his face. He had broken his own rule, but in doing so, he had reignited the thrill and unpredictability of WWE. He had reminded everyone that in the world of wrestling, nothing was truly set in stone.